Would you please bow your heads together? Lord of life, we stand in wonder and amazement this morning because, despite our best efforts to die and stay dead, you raise us to new life. We confess that we're addicted to violence, and yet you do not abandon us. We often try to win by making sure someone else loses, and yet you do not abandon us. We have assumed since the creation of the world that some of us are entitled and privileged and some of us are not, and yet you do not abandon us. We've brought death and misery to a world that needs life and love, and yet you do not abandon us. We have forsaken our highest principles, forgotten what it means to be a patriot, and built walls to protect us from one another, and yet you do not abandon us. This morning, we are called to consider an alternative vision in an alternative community. It will sound strange and dangerous and uncertain, and it is indeed all these things. But without love, we are nothing. Without love, we are lost. Without love, raised again and again in the hearts of those who know that love is the answer to the problem of human existence, we will have abandoned you. Stay with us, and we will stay with you. Love us, and we will love one another. Teach us the meaning of resurrection, and we will try the best we can to live as Easter people. This we pray in the name of our risen Lord. Amen. This is how the writer of Matthew's gospel tells the story of the resurrection. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descending from heaven came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you're looking for Jesus who was crucified. He's not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples he's been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Here ends this reading inspired by God. May God grant to us wisdom and courage for interpretation.
Today my job is rather simple. Make the announcement. The only announcement, usually we have several announcements. Church is known for announcements. The announcements, we call them, very serious. The announcements. In seminary, baby preachers have theological debates about where the announcements should go in the service. At the beginning, announcements are not worship, so get them out of the way, then we can move on into worship. No, sing a hymn first. Let the people find their seats, always coming in late. They'll complain if they miss something. No, put the announcements at the end of the service, less distracting that way. And so the debate goes. There are always so many announcements. We get emails during the week. "Preacher, can you tell the congregation about this?" Or we get a call, "Preacher, the church needs to know about this." And always, as we are walking into the sanctuary, organ full blast, choir processing, "Wait, one more announcement." "Oh, fine, we're not doing anything. Please give me those 17 details I need to remember by the time I get to the communion table." This is set up for failure. The announcements. We print all of the announcements in the bulletin and then we deliver them to you as if you can't read. Of course, our public school teachers, if our public school teachers keep moving to Texas in order to make a living wage, that might be our reality. We are hoping that you'll take the bulletin home full of announcements, read it, and then mark your calendar. That's the idea, you know. We even send out a weekly email blast with the announcements. This is happening, that is happening, don't forget to show up, here's how you participate. It's a three-pronged strategy. Read it to you, send you home with something, and then invade your inbox. But still, someone will say, I didn't know that was happening. Why wasn't it in the announcements? But today, just one announcement. You know what it is. You dressed for the occasion. Even if you just happen to randomly wander into church today, the choir and the hymns, they already tipped you off. You know what today is. But still, I will make the announcement. Sometime before sunrise, God raised from among the dead Jesus of Nazareth. That's really my complete assignment for the day. Jesus lives, Christ is risen. None of you looked surprised. I guess you've already heard. In fact, the church is so used to hearing the announcement that we came up with a call and response for this particular announcement so that the preacher could actually get a response. Tradition holds that when the preacher says, Christ is risen, the church says, Christ is risen indeed. Let's try it again. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Meh. It's all right. That's why we read the story out of Matthew, so we can remember what it was like for people to hear the announcement for the first time. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. The other Mary. That's just lazy journalism. These are the first two people who hear the announcement. The first two people asked to make the announcement to others, and Matthew doesn't write down her full name. Next thing you know, the church says women shouldn't preach. The struggle is real. And suddenly, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord, descending from heaven, came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised. He is not here, for he has been raised." The announcement. Note that at this point, neither Mary says, "We've got to put on the ham. If we put it in the oven now, we can have Easter dinner by 6. The deviled eggs should be chilled by then. Maybe Peter can pick up some tea on his way home." We also don't hear either Mary ask if the angel is sure. "Yes, about that, Mr. Angel, we have some questions. When you say he is raised, do you mean literally or figuratively? Is his spirit raised or his actual body? Perhaps if you roll the stone away a little farther, we could see better." No. The angel makes the announcement, and the two Marys get moving. So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell the disciples. We are not like the Marys. What a bummer we've turned this announcement into. Imagine if this morning the angel had been in our parking lot, sitting atop the portico, yelling down at us as we got out of the car, "He is risen!" And we look at him and say, "No, not before our first cup of coffee." Perhaps he'd try again, handing us a bulletin and declaring, "He is risen!" I imagine the angel shocked to hear us say, "Well, are we going to your parents or mine for lunch? We went to yours for Christmas." And the angel would look up and say, "God, what is wrong with these people?" We seem to have lost our enthusiasm about the announcement. Christ is risen. Wah, wah. To be fair, it has been a very long time since the original event. These days, people only seem to care about whether or not it actually happened. Some of us find the physical resurrection to be a bit of a stumbling block. Others are obsessed with proving that the Gospels are historical, factual reporting. Both sides are fairly militant about their position. Say this, or say that, or else we won't be back. The ultimate preacher blackmail. It often feels like there is a long list of things the preacher must say or mustn't say, especially on the high holy days, especially the highest of holy days, Easter. Thankfully, my favorite senior minister says that if I worry too much about that list, I'll end up saying nothing at all, and that won't do God any good. So onward. During a visit to Jerusalem, one of my clergy colleagues was surprised to discover that there are 2 tombs in Jerusalem that people claim as the tomb of Jesus. One is enshrined for tourists. The other is tucked away in a nearby garden and gets more local traffic than tourism. My friend asked the guide which one she believed to be the correct tomb. The guide replied, "I don't concern myself too much with that, as long as they are both empty." The tomb is empty. He is risen. This is not a sentimental statement. It's a radical announcement. It's unbelievable, but not just in the sense that resurrection of a dead body would certainly be a spectacular event. It is unbelievable that someone would claim he is risen, Jesus is Lord, because everyone knows that Caesar is Lord. Empire is the way of things. He can't possibly be risen. Jesus can't possibly be alive because they killed him, right? They took care of him. They closed the Jesus file. The authorities had done this thousands of times before. The script was easy to follow. Kill the leader. Demoralize the groupies. This is how you put down an uprising. So they did it according to the script. Jesus was crucified, killed by the state, the equivalent of being strapped to an electric chair. As Robin said last week, if it was just about dying, Jesus could have stepped in front of a Roman chariot. That would have been a death. But Jesus was nailed to a Roman cross, a method used to execute insurrectionists. This was political. The authorities couldn't risk having him around any longer. His teaching was too anti-empire, too anti-collaborator. So they killed him and made sure his disciples understood what would happen if they didn't stand down. Crucifixion was a public service announcement. If you act like this man, you too will end up on a cross. It is the most effective way to kill a movement. Except Jesus was working from a different script. He did not advocate armed rebellion, but nonviolent resistance. Turn the other cheek, go the extra mile, give your coat and your cloak, things that would break an empire without lifting a sword, a new world order, this one based on God's priorities. Things would have worked out differently if Jesus had just been talking about how to earn a pleasant afterlife. But he was a subversive, changing religion from performative to reformative. Performative religion is when God is in our mouths, but not in our hearts. Reformative faith, as in faithfulness that transforms institutions, systems, and people in the name of love, that's what Jesus was going for. Reformative faith. Maybe since this is the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, it'll catch on. Reformative faith instead of performative religion. Reformative faith, beliefs and convictions that prompt action, form our moral center, and guide how we live in community with one another. We don't realize just how upset Jesus made people. A few chapters before the one we read today, in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus spoke of what our priorities should be. I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited me. For just as you did for the least of these, you did it for me. Jesus' priorities are basic needs, health care, and prison reform. Sounds pleasant enough to me. What's to be upset about? Apparently not everyone appreciated it. Too political, they said. Note that Jesus preached this sermon, and then 2 chapters later, he's dead. That's quite a timeline. Last week, I served as the chaplain of the week for the Oklahoma State House of Representatives. On Tuesday's prayer, I used the B word, budget. Colin got a phone call. Too political, can you talk to her about it? You can imagine how he responded. So on Wednesday, I did what most clergy women have done when told to back down. I put on higher heels and quoted more Jesus. I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. 1 in 4 Oklahoma children experiences food insecurity. Over 60% of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. When asked about assisting Syrian refugees after President Assad's attack with lethal nerve gas, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer suggested that military action was the greatest aspect of humanitarian relief that we can provide. Military action, not refuge. Best of luck avoiding the bombs we're dropping in order to help. I was sick, and you took care of me. Our state has the highest percentage of uninsured residents in the country. Unless legislators find new and recurring revenue to fill the budget, the Oklahoma Department of Human Services will run out of money to pay for in-home care of 25,000 seniors and people with severe disabilities. I was in prison and you visited me. Oklahoma's prison population is 78% higher than the national average. The private prison industry is booming. These words are about as popular now as they were in Jesus' day, but I'll say it again for those in the back. Jesus was worried about basic needs, health care, and prison reform. Nothing about being nice. Jesus was trying to get us to live together on earth as it is in heaven. He was concerned we all have this day our daily bread. This is what killed Jesus, and also why God raised him. He continued to be known. Yes, back to that announcement. Jesus lives, Christ is risen. Yes, it matters. It matters that Jesus specifically was raised, not anyone leading an armed rebellion, not Caesar. Jesus was raised. Jesus who said, "Love one another." This is God's yes to the empire's no. God raised Jesus from the dead and said, This is what I have in mind for the whole world. This is why we have the announcement. Jesus lives. Christ is risen. Love lives. The empire had to do something about the announcement. So it played the confusion card, got us arguing about what happened or didn't happen or what could have happened, and we forgot. We forgot about the announcement. Never mind that people kept experiencing Jesus post-death in ways that are still a mystery. Never mind that parable, independent of historical factuality, can be profoundly true. Never mind that parable can be based on an actual event, but it need not be. To make it worse, someone invented peeps. And Easter baskets and threw in a bunny. Announcement? What announcement? Is that the time the Easter egg hunt starts? No wonder we've lost all enthusiasm for the announcement. No wonder we're living in a country that just dropped something called the mother of all bombs. No wonder we are trying to bomb the world into peace. America is the Roman Empire of our time, deciding who lives and who dies and who rules in other countries. No wonder our economic system is a reversal of Mary's Magnificat, filling the rich with good things and sending the poor away empty-handed. We have been successfully distracted by doctrinal and denominational bickering and chocolate crosses. So we've got to remember the announcement, church. We need to recover our enthusiasm, snap out of it, church. Or better yet, rise up. Resurrection is in our bones. For the church on Easter, to make the announcement that Jesus lives, Christ is risen, is to reaffirm that we're with the Jesus program. We will care for and fight for the least of these. We will not join forces with death-dealing powers, but subvert them, because we believe what Jesus said is true. Another world is possible. We are with the one who said, "Love one another," which is why the empire couldn't kill him. O grave, where is thy victory? O death, where is thy sting? A tomb cannot hold love. So let me repeat the announcement. Sometime before sunrise, God raised from among the dead Jesus of Nazareth. The empire is powerful, but it does not have the last word. Love still speaks. I know a world that could use the announcement about now, church. So what do you say? Will you make the announcement too, this time with a little enthusiasm? You remember how it goes. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Amen.